Alright, so this is the top 10 pound for pound fighters. Believe it or not, Fedor Emelianenko is no longer number one, according to Fox Sports. The reason being is because he is no longer fighting as strong of or the strongest competition. So, I'm going to give you the list. Number 10, Quinton Rampage Jackson. Jackson pulled out of his match against Rashad Evans, and he also said that he's going to more than likely quit the UFC because he didn't get his matchup against Lyoto Machida because he wanted Dana White to work around his movie schedule for his A-Team movie so that he could get that fight, and he didn't get his way. So I guess he's going to focus on acting now. Thiago Alves, he's number 9. This is Fox News pound for pound. Now, after watching him get tossed around by George St. Pierre, I don't know how he's even on this list, but if he wins in UFC 107, he could get another chance at George St. Pierre. And if anyone would like to make a wager on that, I'd be picking George St. Pierre again. And if they fought 3 or 4 more times, I'd be picking George St. Pierre again. I don't need to see that again. Number 8, Miguel Torres. He recently lost to Brian Bowles in a huge upset, but his record is really good, and they're going to have a rematch pretty soon, I'm predicting. Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans has been undefeated until Lyoto Machida, but he's still a contender. Mike Thomas Brown. He's getting ready to defend his WEC featherweight title. He's going to be fighting Jose Aldo in November. And then he'd get a rematch against Uriah Faber. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And then maybe move up to UFC lightweight. Number 5, BJ Penn. BJ Penn is a legend in the sport. He dominated Kenny Florian, and he's going to fight Diego Sanchez. That's going to be a good fight. And in the lightweight division, he doesn't really have a lot of competition going on. He's excellent stand-up, ground game, submissions. He's all that. He might get caught. Of course, he has his losses. Everybody does. But you can never count BJ Penn out. Lyoto Machida. This guy is quickly moving up the ranks. He's undefeated. He may stay undefeated for a while. He's facing off against Shogun Rua, who has a hell of a lot of power, but it's not someone who hasn't been knocked out before. And he's expected to win that fight against Rua. I'm picking him to win that fight against Rua. Fedor Emelianenko, only number 3. He has beaten every heavyweight that ever left the UFC. Fedor Emelianenko knocked out Arlovsky, who knocked out Roy Nelson. So he also knocked out a who's who of UFC. And then Dana White kind of said, well, our heavyweight division wasn't very strong at the time. Fedor Emelianenko, I don't know. He seems unbeatable. I don't know why he's number 3 on this list. His only loss is an illegal elbow that caused him to be cut. And I think if he would have fought with that cut still on his head, if they wouldn't have stopped it, he would have won that fight too. I don't see anyone beating him for a long time. And just because he doesn't have competition, trust me, he would beat that competition. Number 2, GSP, George St. Pierre. I cannot argue with that. I might even put him at number 1. The reason I think he's number 2 is because this guy is out. He had an injury in the middle of stopping, in the middle of whooping that ass. He had an injury, and he's going to be out until February 2010. I guess he could still hold the title that whole time. I mean, he can't fight, so I don't know how he can defend his title, but. And number 1, Anderson the Spider Silva. Now here's another guy that seems unstoppable, although he has been tapped out before. He beat the crap out of Forrest Griffin, but honestly, who hasn't beaten the crap out of Forrest Griffin? Forrest Griffin has not been the strongest fighter as of recent. To me, Forrest Griffin is like, he's the guy who can take a beating and still win. But a guy who takes a beating every match is not a dominant fighter to me. He's just stubborn and persistent and has a lot of heart. But that doesn't make him a great fighter, which is why he's not on this list. Anderson Silva is really quick. He has excellent kicks, punches. He's done a lot of submissions. He seems to weasel out of everything. I mean, he's real wiry. And he's number 1 on this list. Thanks for watching the top 10 pound for pound MMA fighters.